Okay, so today we are doing volume of spheres. We've already done surface area, so volume, it's still 11.6, but I just separate it because we do surface area of everything else first, and then we do volume. Spheres are pretty easy because they just have one measurement, which is the radius. So here is our volume formula, 4/3 pi r cubed. Most people mess up this cubed part, so don't forget that. You've got to cube the radius. So I'm going to go ahead and write the formula here, 4/3 pi r cubed, because I even mess it up sometimes because this is the only time you will cube it. Every other time you just square it or just do the radius. So find the volume of the sphere below. Show your answers in terms of pi. So we have 4/3 pi 8 cubed. Now some people will write that down and still only square it in their calculator. So don't be those people. So 4/3 pi 8 cubed is 512. So now we do 512 times 4/3. I know that you guys hate fractions, but it's just 512 times 4, and then you can divide by 3, or you can just multiply by 5 or by 4/3 all in one step. I like to multiply by 4 and then divide by 3. Now the only problem with this is that it says in terms of pi, and when you leave pi in your answer, you cannot put a decimal in front of it. So when I multiply 512 by 4/3, I get 682.6 repeating. So I've got to hit math, enter, and I get 2048 over 3, and pi goes on top. It's not super complicated, but it just looks scary. You can also, here, let me pull up my calculator. You could also do that all in one step, like 512 times, well, actually, you could do it even, let's just do 4/3 times 8 cubed. And then you'll do math, enter. Pi goes on top, and that's it. Alright, so now this is a U-try. Don't forget, though, that this is the diameter, this 24. Ooh, sorry. So the radius is actually 12. So you can pause it and try this. I'm going to go ahead and work it out. Volume is 4/3 pi r cubed. So I'm going to do this all in one step. Let's just go 4/3 times 12 cubed. So you get 2304. So volume equals 2304. Don't forget your pi. And that's all there is to it. Find the diameter of a sphere with a volume of 36,000 pi. So, write my formula. Oh. Sorry, forgot to plug in my volume. 36,000 pi. Ooh. So first I'm going to divide by 4/3. And I'm going to show you this in the calculator because I don't want fractions to creep you guys out. I think the best thing you can do with fractions is do this alpha y equals and then hit enter so that you have this big fraction bar. But then on the bottom you'd need to put the 4/3. I don't really know if the parentheses matter on this since we did the big fraction bar, but I would just do it in case. So we get 27,000. So now we have 27,000 pi, oh my word, sorry, pi equals pi r cubed. Then I would divide by the pi, which is just going to cancel it out nicely. So I kind of need to scoot all this over, don't I? Let's just get this out of here. And okay. I just want to be able to scoot that over, and then I can bring this back down. Okay, so we have 27,000 equals r cubed. Now, I can't remember if we've done this at this point, because I'm working these lessons backwards, but to undo r cubed, to undo r squared, you would do the square root. So to undo r cubed, you do what we call the cubed root. Looks like a square root, it's got a little 3 here. It's like uncubing it. And that can be done in your calculator. Hit this handy dandy math button, and it is number 4. So the cubed root of 27,000. And you get 30. So our radius is 30. However, it asks for our diameter, so we double it and we get 60 for the diameter. Okay, now contrary to surface area, it's actually much easier to do hemispheres with volume because you just take whatever you get for the volume and you half it. So like you could actually make a formula for it, but with the fractions it becomes a little complicated. So if our volume formula is 4/3 pi r cubed, I would just do that first and then divide the whole thing by 2. I think the actual thing is that it's 2/3 pi r cubed, but I'm just going to do regular volume and half it at the end. So we have 4/3 pi 15 cubed. So 15 to the third is 3,375. I'm going to multiply that by 4, then divide by 3. So I get the volume of an entire sphere with that radius would be 4,500 pi. So to get the hemisphere, it would just be half that. I would divide it by 2. That divided by 2 is 2250, so we get the volume of the hemisphere is 2250 pi. Now this formula is not on your formula chart. Like I said, I think it's 2/3 pi r cubed, but I would just find the whole thing and half it, if you can remember to do that. So you try this one, pause it and try it, and then you can check with my answer. So for the volume of the whole thing, I'd get 47,916 pi. Then I'd divide it by 2 since it's a hemisphere and get 23,958 pi. All right, find the volume of the sphere with a surface area of 324 pi. Show your answer in terms of pi. This is a U-try, so if you want to pause it, you can. Surface area is 4 pi r squared. So if the surface area is 324 pi, my first step is going to be to divide both sides by 4 pi. Obviously the pi's will cancel out, so it's just 324 divided by 4, which gives you 81 for r squared. Take the square root of both sides and you will get 9 for your radius. So let's find the volume of a sphere with a radius of 9. 4/3 pi 9 cubed. 9 to the third is 729 times 4 divided by 3. And I get the volume is 972 pi. Okay, the radius of the sphere shown was multiplied by 8. Describe the effect on surface area and volume. So we have PAV, 1, 2, 3. I bet you're sick of seeing this. This is the scale factor. This is the scale factor squared, scale factor cubed. So if everything's multiplied by 8, our scale factor is 8. So the surface area changes by a scale factor squared. So 8 squared is 64. So it's 64 times bigger. Our volume changes by the scale factor cubed. So 8 cubed is 512. So the volume would be 512 times bigger. So this is the last problem. It's a little bit easier than the surface area problem because you don't have to worry about what's on the surface. You just do a cylinder plus a hemisphere, which is a sphere divided by 2. So let's see if I can make more room. It does say in terms of pi, so we'll just try to remember that. Okay, so to get the volume of a cylinder, you do capital BH, which is area of the base times the height. Area of a circular base is just pi r squared, and the height. So let's do that first. So we have pi, the radius is 6 squared, the height is 9. So 6 squared is 36 times 9 is 324 pi for the cylinder. Now the hemisphere is going to be, 4/3 pi r cubed, and then we'll divide that whole thing by 2 to get half of it. So we do 4/3 pi 6 to the third. Ooh, it's a rough 3. And then all divided by 2. So 6 to the third is 216 times 4 divided by 3 is 288. So we have 288 pi on top and 2 on bottom. So 288 divided by 2 is 144. So we get 144 pi for the hemisphere. So let's add them together. Cylinder is 324 pi. Hemisphere is 144 pi. They add like variables, so you can just do 324 plus 144 and get 468 pi. And that's your answer.